What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. And on today's episode, we'll be breaking down the Bulls are finally returning to basketball. It feels like it's been so long. I know a lot of Bulls fans are really excited to be getting back to games, excited to see what the addition of Tristan Thompson is going to be like. We'll also be talking about all of that, opening the mailbag, and I'll be discussing why I think the Bulls' best basketball may be ahead of them. We'll talk about all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central.
All right, Bulls fans. So, as we know, the Bulls are returning to basketball today against the Atlanta Hawks, and it's been a long stretch since the Bulls have had basketball. I think the only time that we've had a stretch this long without Bulls basketball is when we had those 3 games postponed. So this has been one of the longest stretches, and Bulls fans are itching, right? Between Zach LaVine coming back and being more healthy and being ready to play again, the addition of Tristan Thompson, and just overall missing basketball for so long, Bulls fans are really excited about getting back into this, and I'm right along there with you guys. The Bulls do face the Hawks, and one of the things that are going to be key for the Bulls in this game is just playing with activity. Bringing back that intensity on both sides of the ball. The Bulls can execute. The offense tends to take care of itself. You guys know I really don't worry about the Bulls offense at this point in the season. Do they have down games? Yes. Do they have times where they struggle a little bit more? Yes, absolutely. All those things are true. But more times than not, the Bulls offense takes care of itself. And so that's what I'm really expecting coming into this game. I'm expecting the Bulls offense to be locked in, ready to go. They've had a lot of rest. So yeah, contributions from Ayo, Kobe, DeMar, Zach, Vooch, we all know what they bring to the table. Like we talked about in yesterday's video as well, Vooch playing with activity down low, Vooch doing the things that he needs to do, playing inside out is going to be really important to see. Also, what impact does Tristan Thompson have on this game? What ways, and I don't expect it to be perfect right away or for us to see what we're going to get from Tristan Thompson over the course of the season and the playoffs immediately in this game, but just to see how his activity, how his offensive rebounding, what that does for extra possessions for the Bulls is going to be key. Outside of that, Ayo, again, defense on Trae Young. We've seen it so far, and when they played, Ayo has really played really great defense against Trae Young. He has played, bad defense against certain other point guards, and they seem to get in his head, but doesn't seem like Ayo really has that issue with Trae Young. It may be the size thing, anything else like that, but what do we get from Ayo? Does Ayo come back with double-doubles, this playmaking, everything that we've seen from him that has evolved for him since he has been our starting point guard? All those things continue. We want to see that from the Bulls today, but let me know, what are some of the things you're most excited for seeing from the Bulls tonight as they return to basketball? What did you miss most about this team, and what do you think? What is going to be Tristan Thompson's contribution to this team? Not because we don't know exactly how many minutes he's going to play or anything. I don't want to get into the stat line, but how do you think Tristan Thompson is going to affect this game for the Chicago Bulls right away? Now, one thing about Tristan Thompson, he did have an interview yesterday at Bulls practice. I'm going to go ahead and play a little bit of that right now.
I appreciate Indiana for allowing this to happen. It's a great organization, a team in the Central Division I'm very familiar with, playing in Cleveland for 9 years. Chad and Rick we're transparent with each other, and I wish them all the best, and it was just both going 2 different directions, and I appreciate both sides. And when the time came, the Bulls called my agent, and I've been watching the Bulls this year and watching what they're able to do, especially with injuries and COVID and games being postponed and all that, and obviously having that relationship with DeMar, Zach, Vooch. Me and Vooch, been playing against each other since USC Texas days when he beat us at the Galen Center. So it's a lot of familiar faces, and obviously Lonzo. So I feel like I want to be part of something really special.
Now, coming from Tristan Thompson, he's saying all the right things, and that's what you would expect from a veteran and a player coming in, right? We need to see the execution of that. But one thing that I will say, for somebody who we've played against Tristan Thompson for years, especially when he was on the Cavs, I never have really seen an interview with Tristan Thompson. I really don't pay attention to it. I would say that, his jovialness or whatever, it was refreshing, right? You can see his personality fitting on this team and him really going and keeping this culture going that the Bulls had. And that's one of the things that stick out to me very well. It's easy to say the right things in an interview, especially your first interview when it's your first practice and you being in the building. But overall, just I can see easily where that personality fits in with this Bulls team. And we know one of the reasons that this Bulls team has I don't want to say overachieved, right? But has been able to bond together as soon as they have is that just simply put, how they get along with each other. And Tristan Thompson does project to do that. He said all the right things, and that's what you want to see from him. One thing that I do want to talk about before we get into the mailbag, Jeff Van Gundy's comments on the Bulls being overachievers. And I know a lot of Bulls fans, it frustrated them. It frustrated me initially with seeing it. But the thing is, me trying to be objective, again, the Bulls and the way that they've played against upper echelon teams in the East, again, I know that we have the injuries, we have COVID. I understand all that. But it does lend itself for some people who are doubters to think, hey, maybe they are overachievers. The key thing is that the Bulls are going to have to show it. And this is one thing I talked about in yesterday's video. How the Bulls play against the better teams in the league in this last quarter of the season is going to be very important for how the media talks about them. But overall, even if they don't talk about them well, who gives a damn? At the end of the day, the Bulls, when fully healthy, are one of the best teams in this league. And I do trust this Bulls team to be able to compete with anybody. But when we talk about the national media conversation, and especially pundits and commentators like Jeff Van Gundy, when what they're talking about or what they say is that they are looking at the fact of how the Bulls have competed against other top teams in not only just the East, but the NBA. Now, as far as them saying that the Bulls are overachieving and all that, but shut the fuck up, right? This team and how they've come together, the best duo in the NBA, a team when not even fully healthy, right? We can't use that thing fully healthy, but when they were at their best point of health, top 5 in offense, top 5 in defense, I trust what this team is able to do. We got to stop letting the doubters get to us. Use that as another chink in our armor. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. The Bulls and the chip on the shoulder that this team has is going to pay dividends for us, especially when fully healthy. And I have full confidence in that. But let's go ahead and get into the mailbag. We got this voicemail from Jamal. Jamal is talking about the Bulls and what matchups we may be excited to see. Go ahead, Jamal.
What's up, Haize? It's your boy Jamal back again with another voicemail for you. Promise I'm not gonna rant this time. And I kind of probably went a little bit too much with your voicemail. I apologize for that. But I just want to talk about with the upcoming season, upcoming stretch of games, the last 23 games of this season, of this excellent Bulls season, I should say. What's the lineup that you're most excited to see? Because I think that's something that Bulls fans haven't, really discussed. I mean, of course, talking about us being fully healthy, meaning we get P. Will back, we get Alex, we get Lonzo back, and, some of the other guys have been injured, and everyone's healthy. What's the lineup that you're most looking forward to see? Prime example, one thing I want to see is doing games where we have a lot of, where there is a lot of big men out there, or we games where there is a size problem. Do you think we might see, even if it's only for a few minutes, do you think we might see Billy Donovan go big? Have a lineup where he has T. Will come in along with Tristan Thompson and Nikola Vucevic. A big lineup going on. Or how do you think or what do you think Billy's defensive lineup is going to be? Something along the lines of maybe Lonzo at the 1, Alex Caruso at the 2, with not P. Will, with either Io or Javonte Green at the 3, along with T. Will and Tristan Thompson at the 4 and the 5. Or maybe he has a small ball defensive lineup, and things like that. What do you think his offensive lineup is going to be, where he just has all shooters out there, all snipers and things like that, and the scoring offense lineup is going to be? One thing I loved was the idea of keeping Kobe White, because I thought Kobe made us have a 3-headed monster coming off the bench as much as we had a 3-headed monster in our starting lineup between that 1, 2, and 3 position. Do you think there'll be a time where Billy sits Lonzo, Zach, and DeMar, all 3 of them at the same time, and have Alex, Io, and Kobe out there at the same time? And things like that, because he can trust those guys to keep the offense going and the defense going. Or how do you think he's going to interchange combinations between all 6 of those players? Maybe have Alonzo, Zach, and Kobe line up, DeMar, Io, and Alex Caruso lineup. Who knows? But just the combinations. I feel like Will Ferrell and Johnson Roddy off of Step Brothers, where they was like, there's so much room for activities. I think there's just so much possibility that we can do with the 6-man guard rotation between the 1, 2, and 3, as well as adding in, P. Will and Tristan.
All right, and so I did not cut Jamal off. Again, there's a 3-minute time limit, and the voicemail cut him off. Listen, you guys have been firing in the voicemail, and I appreciate it, right? And I appreciate it, but keep in mind that 3-minute limit, not to say that you can only have 3 minutes, but it will cut you off at that point, and then you may have to call back and finish off your voicemail thought. But he was wrapping it up anyway, but I just do want to point out that, and I'm not necessarily excited about like certain matchups or anything like that, or certain lineups, I guess I should say, or anything like that with this Bulls basketball team. I am more so to get everyone back healthy. And what I said at the beginning of this, the reason why I think that the Bulls' best basketball is still ahead of them, when you look at the additions of Tristan Thompson, when you look at the fact that, we haven't had we haven't had Kobe and Patrick Williams together at the same time. Now Tristan Thompson, another new wrinkle into this. This team is still very much establishing chemistry in certain ways, and the bench still in certain ways is establishing certain chemistry and everything like that. The Bulls, the brand of basketball that the Bulls can play when fully healthy is what excites me the most. Yes, there are certain matchups that I'm going to love to see. Once Lonzo gets back, Alonzo Tristan Thompson pick and roll, I'm really excited to see. To get back into the Derrick Jones Jr. Alonzo pick and roll as well. The addition of now Ayo Dosunmu's playmaking and what that can do to freeing up Alex Caruso to do more things now if the Bulls decide to, because what we saw at the beginning of the season before Caruso went down is that the Bulls offense when it came to the bench was really running through Alex Caruso. But now the ability and the confidence in running that through Ayo and allowing maybe Caruso to get to expound more effort on defense, right? Which effort is never a thing for Caruso, but guys know what I mean. But then Caruso being more active, coming off screens, moving without the ball, as well as once Javonte Green moves back into the bench, and we've seen now an added layer of Javonte Green's offense as well, being able to see what Ayo can do with that and having that off the bench to pair with Kobe. Again, Javonte Green, I don't expect to be somebody to average 12, 14 points a game or anything like that, but he can have games where he can go off scoring wise. And when you pair that coming off the bench with Ayo, Alex Caruso, Kobe White, Javonte Green, now Tristan Thompson, and whatever else they do is Derrick Jones Jr. in certain matchups, this Bulls team really has the key thing to be able to keep up that offensive and defensive pressure throughout the whole game with players that they have and the lineups that they can bring in. That's what I'm most excited for this Bulls team. It's not just the getting back healthy, because that's not easy, but it's easy just to say, hey, I'm excited for everybody to get back healthy, but I'm excited to see what layers of this team's game and these players' game get unlocked now with the development that we've had over the course of the season. Those are going to be some great things to see for me. I'm really excited also to see a Derrick Jones Jr. and Tristan Thompson front court lineup. That's something that I haven't talked about and I haven't heard talked about a lot. But when you look at what Derrick Jones Jr. was able to do with when he was healthy, with rim protection, with rebounding, with his ability to stretch the floor at times with the shooting, and to pair that with Tristan Thompson, who is also brings you some shot blocking and rebounding, what the Bulls can do with those two in the front court together coming off the bench in their minutes could be very, very big as well. Those are some of the things that I'm looking forward to. Let me know down below, what are some of the lineups that you guys are looking forward to when this Bulls team is fully healthy? What are some of the matchups against other teams that you're looking for to when this team is fully healthy? The second half of this season, or the last quarter of the season, and like I said, the key thing, the last 10 to 15 games, once we project to have everyone back fully healthy, are going to be key. We have some really big matchups in those last 10 to 15 games as well, and heading into the playoffs to eliminate a lot of that conversation of the Bulls can't beat or can't match up against better teams. I look forward to all that going away as well. But that's it for me for today. Unless there's any news that drops, you guys won't see me again until the pregame show, and then also have a halftime hangout and a postgame live. That's what we got coming up down the docket today. That's before videos today when it's all said and done, and that's not if I drop a random one. But make sure you're following the podcast at Bull Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a voicemail like you heard on today's episode or a text, the number for that is 773-270-2799. Like I like to end everything on, go Bulls. Love you guys. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.